Welcome, everybody. Friday, June 16th. John Aravosis here with the Aravosis Report, here to talk to you about the latest news from Ukraine. As always, adjusting my screen. Let me get TickTock rolling here on my iPad. And then we will chat a minute or two while we wait for folks to join us. Hang on, still getting TickTock rolling here. Why don't you introduce yourselves, say who you are, where you're from while we're doing this. Yes, that works. And there we go. So let me get this. There we go, TickTock, and I will change my screen. There we go. How's everybody doing tonight? Friday evening. Woo-hoo. I have my iced tea, my leftover tea from last night that I put in the fridge, which I'm sure is like a sin to the Irish and the English, but what do you do? It tastes good. Anyway, hello all. Yeah, so a lot of news today, as always. I may skip some of it. We'll see as we go on. A lot of updates, not a lot of updates, but we'll see. What else? Friday. So remember on the weekend, I've got, we're doing our coffee talks tomorrow. Oh, thank you, Succeed, for that. We've got our coffee talks tomorrow. We're doing a live subscriber only on TickTock and on Discord. And the Discord is for any of the monthly subscribers. So any of the services you subscribe on monthly, especially via the profile, the Ko-fi.com in my profile. But for the TikTokers, exactly, you can join me on TikTok at 11 a.m. Eastern Time US tomorrow, the paid subscribers. And the rest of you who are the Discord subscribers via Ko-fi and everything else, same thing, 11 a.m. Thank you, Succeed. 11 a.m. Eastern Time US. And you can go to the Discord. It'll be at the top left. And this is the $5 and up subscribers. So look for the $5 and up subscriber thing. And then I'm just telling folks, anybody who's joining us on TikTok, that thank you, A63. Tomorrow we're doing our coffee talk, where for subscribers only, TikTok subscribers only, and Discord subscribers. Thank you, Ernie, and everybody else there. Oops. Oh, okay. And TikTok turned it off again. Let's see if they turn it back on. TikTok turned off the thing they turned on yesterday. Thank you, Ava. You people are nuts, TikTok. Was that from Tom, I think? Thank you, Tom, for that. TikTok's making B. Smith and Ernie, and oh my God, TikTok's making it hard again. That was Tom. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Lilia. That was very sweet of you. Any case, we're gonna wait one more minute and then we'll start, guys. Just waiting for TikTokers to join us. So TikTok changed the function again, by the way. Remember yesterday I was saying how great TikTok was because they gave us the function back. Thank you, Ellie and B. They gave us the function back that makes it easier to track the comments and who's giving gifts. They turned it off again today. I'm like, TikTok, stop it. They're just trying to tease. They literally turned it on for 24 hours and turned it off again. Stop it. Oh, God. Yeah, I can't do it again now. TikTok, you're driving me bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Anyway, thank you, Magical, for that. Oh, this is funny. I'm kind of, oh, wow. I just learned I can adjust the brightness on TikTok as I'm talking to you. Whoa. Thank you there, Cheryl. Wow. I didn't know that. Well, sorry. I'm like discovering things as we're doing the show here today. Sorry, guys. When you're live on TikTok, you can touch the screen and do the Apple photo adjustment where you go up and down. So you can pick the focus and you can go up and down with the brightness, which I had no idea. I mean, I knew for my photos I could do it, but not for TikTok. Well, see the things I'm teaching you guys on TikTok how to do lives now. Look at you. All right, guys, let's get rolling here. So welcome, everybody. John Aravosis here with the Aravosis Report. Woo-woo! Excellent. I've got one of my orders from Ukraine for our auctions we do on the Discord. Just arrived in Queens, New York. I'm very excited. I've got more cool auction items coming on the Discord. Thank you for the gift there. So the way the show works is first half of the show, I do the news. Second half of the show, I take your guys' questions. And hang on a second. I will check the laptop mic in a second. Thank you, TikTok Novice. Let me check the laptop mic and see. It did. You are correct. Laptop. I'm calling my laptop a laptop. I do not drink is the funny thing. Like, this is me. You're getting me. Okay. Hopefully the YouTubers, etc., are able to get my sound now. I did have the wrong mic selected. So Now, hopefully, you're hearing me with the good mic. Good catch, whoever caught it over there on the other service. Thank you, Kanausi. So, oh, hang on. Is the audio working now? Hold on. TikTokers, hang on a second. We're having a little bit of an issue with the folks here. Can you guys hear? You know what? Let me refresh the page. Hopefully, it's working now. All right. There we go. All right, tubers, can you hear me now? I know you guys can hear me. Just checking. Okay. You all, there we go. There we go. Yes, there we go. Okay. Let me know. You guys can, I'm sorry, you guys, I know. I'm looking at the other folks. You guys can hear me, right? Give me some. Yeah, the volume. Oh, there we go. I had no, the volume should be fine. Volume should be fine for you guys. All right. I'm going to go on. The TikTokers are not giving me enough feedback. So, SOL. Better. Okay, there we go. Thank you, TikTokers. Okay, guys. Any case, sorry, that was a really long way of saying that the way I do the show, first half of the show, I do the news. Second half of the show, take your guys' questions. On TikTok, you can submit questions. Honestly, the easiest way for me, for you guys, thank you, Ellie, is to submit questions via the Q&A link that's in my profile. Thank you, Kathleen. Because that way they stick there and I can find them later. You can put them on the screen, but they kind of flow by. Thank you, Lee. They kind of scroll by on the screen and I lose sight of them really quickly. So if you use the Q&A link in my profile on TikTok, I'm guaranteed to, well, I will try to get to it, but I'm guaranteed to at least see it. For the rest of you, obviously you can use, thank you, John, use the comment box at the bottom of the screen. I very much appreciate your guys' gifts. As you know, I always lecture you on this, but you're very good. I shouldn't say lecture because you guys really are very generous about this. I kid about lecturing. Thank you, LWD. But I always sort of remind folks that I do this for free. I've been doing it since the war broke out for over a year now. And this is my full-time job. And the way I get paid and I'm able to do the job is because you guys give me the gifts. That's why I've been able to do this so long. Quite literally, I pay my bills with your guys' gifts. So please do keep them coming. I appreciate it. The gifts on TikTok. As a thank you, Kathleen. When I see the gifts, oh, thank you, Richard. That's one of my faves. When I see the gifts, I will always try to do a shout out. Sometimes because TikTok makes it very hard. It's hard to see actually who gave it because TikTok screwed something up. I used to be able to scroll to the right and see the comments, and they turned it on and off again on me because they're being evil. But nonetheless, I will try to do a shout out. Thank you, Kathleen. And I'm sorry, who was that? Richard. Sorry, somebody else just gave me something that TikTok is hiding from me. Okay. And for you guys, super chat and super stickers, whenever there's a super chat, I will always try to get to it as the next question. So thank you for that. And thank you, Lilia. That was very sweet of you to do that. All right, guys. So let me get rolling here. So I was just saying at the beginning of the show, tomorrow for TikTok subscribers and for Discord subscribers, for my monthly Discord and my monthly TikTok subscribers, I'm doing my special show, 11 a.m. Eastern Time US, where we hang out and we talk about the news. Typically, my friend Vlad from Ukraine joins us, and we sort of get the latest Ukrainian perspective from him. He's in southwestern Ukraine. He's been doing a lot of the fundraising with us, and it's always a good time with Vlad and your guys' questions and stuff. So do join us. It's the paid TikTok subscribers. The mods can tell you guys, or maybe tell people in the comments how they subscribe with the TikTok thing. And it's the paid Discord subscribers, which you can do via Discord. You can do it via Coffee, as the site's named. You can find that link in my profile on TikTok. You guys can find the link at the bottom of the screen, the Ko-fi, as I'm calling it, coffee site. And we're doing that. Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, I'm doing my $25 and up subscriber chat, finally. And that's for the Discord folks. And finally, tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, I am also doing my weekend review on Twitch. All right, let's get rolling, guys. So 6 hypersonic missiles were downed over Kyiv today. Great news. You'll recall that the Russian hypersonic missiles are the missiles that allegedly, let's take this with a grain of salt, but allegedly go 10 times the speed of sound and are unstoppable. The Russians bragged about these things for a long time. They were going to nuke all of Europe with these missiles. And lo and behold, the American Patriot missile systems shoot down the Russian unstoppable missiles. The Ukrainians shot down 6 of them last night, apparently. And Ukraine is also announcing, I was watching CNN today, very interesting. They were what's his name? Pleitkin. Frederick Pleitkin, who's very good. They're one of their war correspondents, their international correspondents, said that the Ukrainians today were actually very upbeat. They said they've had significant gains around Bakhmut. You'll recall that in the counteroffensive so far, and mind you, this is going to change. We're only a week into the counteroffensive. But in the counteroffensive so far, there's three main areas the Ukrainians are fighting in. One is Bakhmut. One is southwest of Donetsk, around here-ish. And the other is over here, Zaporizhia, maybe around here. Kind of hard to say exactly. But around here, in principle, to get down to Melitopol, here to get down to Mariupol, and then Bakhmut itself, which is the town the Russians spent. Remember, they spent 11 months trying to take this town and finally took it a couple of weeks ago, and they bragged. A town of 60,000 people, no strategic significance. The Russians lost 100,000 men, a third of that dead, two-thirds of that injured. This is a conservative estimate. Taking that town, and they bragged about it, how brave they were, taking literally a little town that doesn't matter strategically and having those losses. Well, the Ukrainians said today they've had significant gains around Bakhmut, and they were very pleased. Now, that's good because the Ukrainians generally would be cautious about this. So that's good news. Russia today attacked Ukraine while the South African president was there. South Africa's president went to Ukraine with a delegation to, present his peace proposal, whatever. South Africa's in a really weird position. I say weird, meaning obnoxious position, because they support Russia. They're allies with Russia. And they, the U.S. has accused them of secretly providing weapons to Russia in violation of the UN sanctions. South Africa has been trying to figure out what to do if Putin comes to their summit, the BRICS summit, the summit they're having with other leaders like India, China, this summer, South Africa, and whether they have to arrest Putin or not. South Africa has been a lousy, I'm not even sure what word to use. South Africa basically has been acting like an imperialist country. They've been acting like the bad guys. And they're siding with Russian imperialists, which the Russians are acting just like the folks who oppressed South Africa not 30 years ago. Nonetheless, anyway, thank you, Nico. South Africa. So the South African president goes to Ukraine. I'm sure he did it. By the way, thank you, B. Smith and Poppy. I'm sure he did it because, Carol, because they were so upset at the criticism that basically they got caught, selling Russia or giving Russia these weapons against the UN rules. So they decided to do a peace delegation, right? Peace delegation of this crap. So they arrive, and what happens? The Russians bomb them while the South Africans are there. Thank you, Marcy. Martin, the Russians bomb them while they're there. Thank you, John, for that. And the South African delegation has to run for cover in a hotel to get to the hotel bomb shelter because Putin is literally bombing Kyiv. Thank you, Poppy. Putin is bombing Kyiv while the South Africans are there. Well, what happens? And again, this is how duplicitous the South Africans are, okay? The spokesman for the South African president gets on Twitter and says, and responds to somebody saying, oh my God, they just, the Russians bombed Kyiv while the South Africans were there, the civil defense sirens went off, etc. The spokesman for the South African president gets on Twitter and responds and says, funny, we didn't hear any air sirens, basically suggesting it's a lie. Ukraine didn't get attacked today, and he's being really bitchy about it. Well, Reuters, a Reuters reporter was there. The Reuters reporter witnessed the South African delegation running into the hotel to get into the bomb shelter. I mean, this guy's lying. But again, this is what bothers me with this. It shows you what South Africa is doing. South Africa is basically on Russia's side. They're on the side of the imperialists, and they got embarrassed. And now they feel like they've got to do their little peace thing. But even with their peace thing, they had the nerve to deny that Kyiv was attacked today by the Russians when they were there, when they ran for cover when it happened. We didn't hear any sirens. Funny, he writes. Funny, strange. Little jerk. Anyway, thank you, Kanowski, for that. That kind of stuff. Putin claimed, real quick. Is it Dom? Thank you, Dom. Have you seen that there was an amphibious landing at the dam? No. What I read, okay. Thank you for the question, Dom. Dom got a super chat question, and I always get to the super chat questions. When as the next question as a thank you, because they're paid. I saw something yesterday that was talking about how the Ukrainian government had said, the fact that the dam got burst doesn't necessarily mean it screws up our plans. Now, the dam, let me explain a little more here. The dam is here. This is the dam that got that exploded last week. Everyone thinks it was the Russians, okay? Everyone thinks it was the Russians. The dam flooded this whole area. And the thinking folks had, also, there was an intercept of a Russian soldier saying, yeah, it was us, and we screwed up. Basically, that the Russians blew it up. They meant to blow up the dam a little bit, he said. And they wanted to just cause a little bit of a flood, scare the Ukrainians, but not flood everything and basically flood the Russian soldiers and everything. Well, they screwed up. They blew the whole damn dam, is what it looks like, and flooded the whole area. Now, that would make it impossible for right now for the Ukrainians to invade across the river, right? Because remember, everything south of the river, so all of this and this, the Russians control, okay? So south of the river is Russian controlled, north of the river is Ukraine controlled, Ukraine. So you get down here where the dam is, and because the river was enlarged, once the dam breaks, everything here floods. Everything here gets less water. Everything here floods. It made it impossible for the Ukrainians to cross because the river got too wide, and it gets so wide that it's really dangerous. They'd be sitting in the open. They'd get bombed. So what the Ukrainians said, this is what I'm thinking, Dom, unless it's something I missed, what I'm thinking you might have read. Yesterday, the Ukrainians were talking about this, somebody in the Ukrainian government, and said, we weren't necessarily planning on crossing the river now anyway, or something like that. We're doing the battles we're doing in the east, but once the water recedes, actually even now, this has opened up the area in the south because the area in the south has now been drowned out of Russians. Russian troops either got drowned or forced out by the flood. Russian defenses got washed away. The Russian mines that are up here, you can see where they are now and destroy them. So the idea was, has it now free? This area is supposed to dry up in the next 5 days. I mean, the next 4 to 5 days, actually 4 days now, I think it was January 20th, the waters were supposed to be gone. Will that open up this area as an area where now Ukraine could potentially invade to take its land back? Anyway, I don't know, Dom. I don't know if there was a specific story saying Ukraine had done something today and I missed it, or whether it was that aspect of the story because I saw some people interpreting it as saying, the Ukrainians look like they may try to at least send some boats and do some stuff. So that's why I heard that, and I started thinking that that's what you were saying. Oops, sorry. There was so much. Sorry, I'm looking at this to see what your comment was. I was looking at the other page. Okay. Oh, I can't see. Okay. In any case, so I don't know beyond that. That's all I can tell you. Let me keep going here, folks. All right. Thank you again for that, Dom. I don't want to post the video link. That's okay. Yeah. And I don't even know if links work there. I'll look after the show, but I didn't see anything. And let me put it this way. There was nothing in the big news. I mean, I cover sort of all the big sites before I start, Washington Post, New York Times, CNN, Sky News. I can't even think who else. The Ukrainians, Kyiv Independent, et cetera. And none of them were talking about this. So that's the only thing. So Putin today, nuclear weapons. Putin claimed today that they finally moved some nuclear weapons into Belarus. Maybe. And now, quick sip of tea. The Russians lie. Okay, the Russians lie a lot. The fact that Putin says we have moved nuclear weapons into Belarus, does not mean that Putin moved nuclear weapons into Belarus. Everything they say is a lie. I mean, that's just sort of a standard operating. The Soviets did it before them, and the Russians aren't much different from the Soviets. Everything they say is a lie. I mean, literally, it's the weirdest thing as far as like how this stuff goes. So I would not necessarily believe them when they say this. Belarus, where they claim they moved nuclear weapons into today, is up here. Okay, Russia is over here. Belarus is here. Poland's over here. And Putin had threatened to move nuclear weapons into Belarus here. He claims he moved them in today. I mean, a couple things with that. First of all, U.S. Secretary of State Blinken basically said, we don't care. He said, U.S. isn't going to change its nuclear posture, meaning we're not going to move nukes around ourselves and move more into Europe or whatever in response, which I think is a good response because it basically, it's the, kind of like, whatever, we don't care. I did see a general on CNN, Spider Marks, who's very good, retired U.S. general. He said that he was actually a little worried about it because Russian doctrine, as he explained. Now, we know two things about Russian military doctrine. One, NATO does let me start with Russia's first. Russia believes in using tactical nuclear weapons, which are the small ones. They're still nuclear weapons, but believes in using them as part of its regular arsenal when it's fighting a conventional war. Meaning, hey, if a nuke would help, use it, right? The West does not think that. We do not think, hey, what the hell? Let's use, let's do it or not, right? But sorry, I was reading the comments on TikTok. the tubers' comments. The West does not think that. We would use nuclear weapons as a last resort. Russia would not use it as a last resort, at least in principle. That's the first concern. He did not get to that. His concern was that he said, when you get these nuclear weapons in the field, it doesn't have to be Putin. Now, I don't know if this is true. Spider Marx is a really big guy in American sort of defense circles. He said, the general, that the commanders on the ground can make decisions to use nuclear weapons in Russia, so that the commander the Russian commander in Belarus could make a decision to use the nukes. Okay. Now, I don't know if that's true. Thank you, Red Watts, for the gift there. But that would be more of a concern, sure. Then again, you know what? You've already got Russian commanders in general. I mean, if Russian commanders can use nukes and you've got nukes all over Russia, then we still got a problem anyway. Any case, he brought it up. Personally, I'm not too worried about it. This is all Putin saber rattling again. Thank you, Marcy, for the beach. This is all about Putin just trying to scare you all and talking about nukes. I just don't think any of it's going to happen. I just think it's a stupid threat. So Putin decided to launch some anti-Semitic comments today about Zelinski. They had the St. Petersburg Economic Forum, which is like this big thing they do every year in Russia to showcase Russia as a great investment opportunity. And it's in St. Petersburg, Russia. And Putin went off today, of course, about Zelinski and Ukraine and all this different stuff. Listen to this. Putin says, I have many Jewish friends. They say Zelinski is not a Jew. He is a disgrace to the Jewish people, Putin said. Now, first of all, as you all probably know, Zelinski's parents are Jewish. Zelinski's relatives are all Jewish. I'm going to give you the details here. His grandfather and his great-grandfather and three of his grandfather's brothers wait, hang on a second here. I think I cut stuff off here. I think his grandfather and his great-grandfather fought in World War II against the Nazis. Three of his grandfather's brothers were killed by the Nazis when they invaded Ukraine. They had joined the Red Army to fight the Nazis, and his grandfather was the only. Oh, that's it. They had fought the Red Army. They had joined the Red Army to fight the Nazis, and his grandfather was the only one to return alive. Zelensky is Jewish. It's just, kind of amazing to me to have someone who's not Jewish sit there and say he's a bad Jew. Again, it shows you that Putin's worried. Let's face it. If this is Putin's line of attack, Putin's. I don't even know what it's petty. Crystal's saying it's petty. It's petty, but it's also just weird. Why even bring this up? Who's he doing it for? Does he think he's going to convince? Actually, you know what it makes me think? You know what it makes me think? I was going to mention this story later, but I'll mention it now. It makes me think that Putin's worried about another story that came out yesterday. Story comes out yesterday. I was going to bring it up later, but I'll do it right now. Where's my little pen? So I'll exit out. There's a story yesterday. There we go. That Israel has a possible export customer. Thank you, Dana. Has a possible export customer in Europe for its Markava tank. And it's apparently a really good Israeli tank. And they're looking to sell it to someone in Europe. Well, all the speculation was that this tank could very well go to Ukraine, that basically it was a third party buying the tank in Europe that then would send the tanks to Ukraine. Right after that story came up last night, right after that, we see Putin going public and trying to convince someone that Zelensky's not really Jewish. And in fact, he's a bad Jew that Jews are embarrassed of. I can't think who he's trying to influence other than Israel with that. Now, it's a really heavy-handed, stupid argument because, I mean, let's face it, Israel's going to go, the Christian president of Russia who's committing a genocide of a country that's deeply anti-Semitic, mind you, is telling us that Zelinski, the Jewish leader of another country, is a bad Jew, and we're going to believe him. It's a stupid argument, but it tells you something about Putin's thinking. NATO today, Stoltenberg, the Secretary General of NATO, said today that basically we should not expect Ukraine to its invitation to join NATO to be on the agenda of the NATO summit coming up in July. This is kind of insane. This is something that, well, let me put it this way. Zelinski was hoping that by July, when NATO has its big summit in Vilnius, that there would be some kind of concrete offer to Ukraine as far as joining NATO. I think that was a bit of a dream. You know what I mean? Because NATO, first of all, NATO wouldn't offer Ukraine membership, I think, during the war anyway. They would wait until the war was over. You've got to deal with problems like Hungary, the perpetual problem of Hungary that is in Putin's pocket. They're never going to let Ukraine join until we kick them out of NATO, I think. So I think that was a pipe dream, thinking this was going to happen. Nonetheless, Stoltenberg kind of made it clear today, and he said joining NATO won't be on the agenda. The weird story that came out, and it came out actually last night, but they were writing about it today, is that Biden reportedly agreed to make it easier for Ukraine to join NATO. And let me read you this, because honestly, to me, this sounds like a bunch of BS. But listen to this. Per CNN and others, Biden would be willing to drop the membership action plan for Ukraine, which was described in a 2008 agreement as the next step for Ukraine on their direct way to membership. First of all, the 2008 agreement on the next steps for Ukraine on their direct way to membership, it was 2008. It's 2023. I'm not sure I trust any plan from 2008 on the direct way to membership for Ukraine, right? I mean, right, in any case. The map, as it's called, characterized as the program of advice, assistance, and practical support tailored to the individual needs of countries wishing to join the alliance. So basically, I'm sorry. To me, this sounds like BS. They are not going to let Ukraine join. It's not clear when they're going to let Ukraine join. And they're saying, oh, thank you, Dora. That's an oldie but a goodie. And they're saying, we're not going to let you join, but we're going to remove one of the very small, insignificant hurdles to you joining, but we're still not going to let you join. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's like, I mean, you know, it's like a college saying, you know, well, we don't accept Jewish people, but for Jewish people, we're not going to require 2 essays. We're only going to require 1 college essay for Jewish people, but we don't accept Jewish people, just so you know. You know what I mean? I mean, like, we're not going to let Ukraine in, but we're going to make it easier to not let Ukraine in. Oh, thank you. I just think it's BS. And honestly, they're grabbing at straws because I think NATO's embarrassed that they can't get people to agree on kind of what the next steps are for Ukraine joining, but it's kind of pathetic. More stories coming. Let me do a quick pitch. Thank you, End of Putin. That very cute screen name. I sort of thought of it after I said it. That was very cute for the gift there. Sip of tea. Thank you, Ava. And Ukraine Alex. Thank you for that in Canada. So one of the ways you guys can support my work is by subscriptions. And basically, you can either give, basically donations. You can give a one-time donation. Just a quick pitch here. Thank you, Ukraine Alex, again. You can do a one-time donation, or you can become sort of a member where you donate every month. I prefer the membership because honestly, it's nice to sort of be able to get a number of people, which we're getting a larger number, that I can sort of see every month a certain amount of money coming in, so I know. Thank you, Jetta, because I do this full time. I'm not paid. I get paid by you guys, so it makes it possible for me to do this by having the money come in and basically being able to pay my bills. Thanks again, Alex. And user 33678. So one of the ways of doing it is with a cool site called Ko-fi, and you can find it in my profile on TikTok. Click the link in my profile, the Linktree link. First thing that comes up. You guys can find it at the bottom of the screen. It's that link at the very bottom there, Ko-fi.com. And it's ko-fi.com/Aravosis. And basically, it's a way, like I said, of giving once. If you want to give a donation, or if you want to become a supporting member, click the membership button and become a member. There's also, thank you, Alex, again. There's also a way of becoming, if you become a regular member, a monthly member, that also gives you VIP status in our Discord community. Our Discord is basically a chat area where we talk all day about Ukraine and a lot of other topics. And if you're a VIP there, you get to join our special show on the weekends. For example, tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern, we're having it with just the paying members, sort of a thank you, where I sort of have a get together just for you guys. Also, you get access to our VIP auctions, which I'll tell you a little bit more about later, but we sell a lot of really cool stuff. I'll show you one. What am I doing? I'll show you one. I'll show you this one. I'll show you really quick. I get really cool stuff from Ukraine. This is a sweatshirt that is the exact brand and style that Zelinski wears. He had worn these last fall to the Congress, U.S. Congress, the White House, to the British Parliament when he was speaking. You may remember this. And we went to the same company that he buys them from and bought them in Ukraine. And they're really cool. I mean, it's a beautiful sweatshirt. People were saying, like, because on the Discord, I've got a picture of me wearing it, and people were like, you really need to keep that for yourself. So we'll see. I may keep one of them for myself. But we've got stuff like that, really cool stuff from Ukraine that we auction off. And half of the profits go back to Ukraine for humanitarian aid and also to help the military. And half of it goes to support my work. So it's a nice thing. Anyway, but you get access to a special auction if you become a paying member. Anyways, please do go check it out. I try to get at least 1 or 2 people per show to become paying members, if you can afford it, if you can do it. But go to my profile. You guys over there, it's at the bottom of the screen, ko-fi.com/Aravosis. You guys can find the link in my profile, click the link tree, and the first thing that comes up, the Ko-fi or coffee site, is the one to use. So help if you can. I appreciate it. Okay, let me keep going here. Germany is going to immediately provide Ukraine, thank you, Jedamom and Adventure, is going to immediately provide Ukraine with another 64 guided missiles for the Patriot missile system. That's great. Thank you, Germany. CNN says that according to an international team of legal experts, it is highly likely the collapse of the Novakhovka Dam, the dam that we believe the Russians blew up. Thank you, Devin. It is highly likely the collapse of the dam was caused by Russia. We all think it was, but I still think it's good that even the investigators are now saying, there's a very high chance that it was Russia. Thank you, Noskils. I'm not going to be able to pronounce your name, but thank you on TikTok for that. Washington Post. Oh, yeah, this was kind of a weird story. Not weird, but typical and said. The Russians opened fire on aid workers in boats in Ukraine, in Kherson. So Kherson, the province with the flood, right? This area here. Aid workers are there, rescue workers are there, trying to save people. And the Russians go and attack some of the boats. What was really interesting is that they, one of the mods, go check out TikTok. We've got sort of a troll. The aid workers, this is, but they've got, the Washington Post has proof. The aid workers are helping people in boats. There are some journalists there. The journalists are filming the boats and, documenting the rescue work going on. Now the sun's going to come out, really? It was cloudy and rainy, so I didn't put up my little sheet I put up and close the. We'll see. If it gets too bright, if it gets too bright and weird, I'll get up a second and close the curtains. So anyway, the aid workers are helping these boats of refugees, filming and everything else. The Russians turn around, bomb the boats, and then put up video bragging on Telegram that they bombed the boats, thinking, I don't know what they were thinking, except what they did was pretty much put up proof of a war crime. The Russians literally put on Telegram video of the Russians bombing aid workers in Ukraine. And the Washington Post, with the help of the aid workers, was able to piece the entire thing together and prove these were the aid boats. I mean, it just, anyway, blows my mind. Thank you, Nicholas, for that. Russian war crimes, via Sky News, UN experts have raised, I'm just going to read you a couple paragraphs because it's an important story. Via Sky News, United Nations experts have raised concerns over what appears to be planned, authorized, and deliberate torture of Ukrainian civilians and prisoners of war. The group wrote to the Russian government over the allegations of electric shocks, hoodings, and mock executions used to extract intelligence or force confessions. Thank you, Annie. Damage to internal organs, cracked bones, and fractures, strokes, and psychological traumas were reported, they said. The consistency and methods of alleged torture suggested a level of coordination, planning, and organization, as well as the direct authorization, deliberate policy, or official tolerance from superior authorities, according to the UN. In other words, what the UN was saying, real quick here, was that Pam Pam? Might have been Pam Pam. If it was, thank you. What the UN is saying is, there was thank you, Stephen, a similar pattern of torture was happening all over occupied Ukraine. And that suggests it's coordinated, right? You don't have the same kind of torture happening and the same kind of people getting arrested and tortured unless it's something that's official policy, right? And anyway, that's what they determined. So in other words, the Russians have an official policy of torture in Ukraine, which of course is yet another violation of of international norms. Sweden and NATO, still no progress. As you know, Turkey and Hungary are both blocking Sweden's attempt to join NATO. Hungary doing it for two reasons. One, because Hungary is pretty much a puppet now of Putin's. The Hungarian president, Orban, is a puppet of Putin. And Orban didn't like the fact that Sweden, as part of the European Union, was critical of the fact that Orban has dismantled democracy in the country, so that even the European Parliament last year said that Hungary is no longer a full democracy after what Orban did to the country. The Swedes piped up about it, and the Hungarians are now punishing the Swedes, and frankly, punishing all of us by not allowing Sweden into NATO, because they don't like the fact that Sweden called them out on the fact that they are becoming an autocracy and no longer a democracy. The second reason is Hungary. Is Turkey. And our ambassador to Turkey today, the U.S. Ambassador Jeff Flake, who's a former Republican senator, said today that it is looking unlikely that Sweden will join NATO by the NATO summit in July, which is taking place in 4 weeks. Let me look at this really quick. Let me read you from Axios. So Axios, which is a very good political publication in Washington. Axios notes that Turkey desperately wants to purchase a new batch of F-16 fighter jets from the U.S. The Biden administration supports the sale, but Congress needs to approve it. Lawmakers in Congress are using the potential $20 billion sale as leverage to convince Turkey to drop its opposition to Sweden joining NATO. Now, what Flake said today, which was very cute because it was true, but not entirely true. Basically, they're playing what we call in English good cop, bad cop. So Flake is pretending in his press conference today, our ambassador to Turkey, that Biden really wants to sell these jets to Putin. To Putin. It is Putin, really. To Orban. Oh my God, I keep getting. Hungary and Turkey are on my mind today. Biden really wants to sell the F-16s to Turkey, but Congress just won't let him. And Congress isn't going to let him until Sweden joins NATO. So it's not Biden's fault. F-16s, actually, not F-35s. It's F-16s. Congress is blocking it, and Congress is going to continue blocking it until Turkey lets Sweden in. So I was at least glad to see that. Still very annoying and very upsetting. And the Hungary thing, too. As I said before, I'm a big believer in carrots and sticks. I think both countries probably have to be offered something. In Turkey's case, it's the F-16s, but also a stick, which is the F-16s, frankly. And, I think who was it, Kyle? Or D. Lyle says, be careful with Turkey. Here's the thing. Hungary, forget it. We get nothing from Hungary. I don't know about the EU. The EU would have to decide it on its own. But NATO, I'm not convinced at all what we get from Hungary. I'm not convinced we get anything from them being in NATO. We do know what we get in a bad sense, which is them being a PITA, right? With them being a pain. Turkey, we get a lot from Turkey being in NATO. It's important. Turkey is sort of, you have to look at the map. They're jutting out into the Middle East, bordering, Iraq, Syria. It's important, right? And Turkey gets you close to Russia too. But just like with Putin, I think we in the West have got to stop treating our relations with these people as though they're one-sided, as though, for example, with Putin, we can't have war with Russia. Oh my God, we better give Putin everything he needs, right? Thank you, Mustard. We better give Putin everything he needs to stop, or not everything he needs, but what happened at the beginning of the war, thank you, Sabrina, where we were so worried about giving Ukraine weapons because we don't want to get Putin angry because we can't afford World War III, right? Well, Putin can't afford World War III either. Not only do we lose World War III, Putin loses World War III. Russia does too. If Russia uses nukes, then we use nukes. It's the end of the world. So, I mean, part of it is like we've got to stop being so afraid of them because they're afraid of us too. And I feel with Turkey that, yeah, NATO cannot afford to lose Turkey. You know what? Too, Turkey can't afford to lose NATO. Who's Turkey going to turn to get its weapons? Russia? Really? Russia? Now? First of all, Russia doesn't have the weapons to give them. Russia's using their weapons. Second of all, Russia can't even sell the weapons because of all the international sanctions. Thank you, Dora. India has got some, was it oil and gas? I think it was oil that they were buying from, no, it might not be the oil. India might be weapons. I'm trying to remember. India, there's a sale of something for the last year. I think it's weapons. A sale of something in the last year, $2 billion with a B. And India has been unable to complete the purchase because of all the sanctions on Russia. Thank you, Martin. So, good luck completing a purchase for weapons from Russia if you're Turkey, but also, you really want Russian weapons now after everything we've seen with Russian weapons? And final point, guess who's still going to be a member of NATO? Greece. Turkey threatens war to Greece like every day. Thank you, Russell. Does Turkey really want Greece getting all the best NATO weapons? And all Turkey gets is, Putin's weapons? Not to mention, by the way, Turkey leaves NATO and Turkey saddles up to Putin. Greece is going to get everything it wants 10 times over. Turkey leaves NATO and NATO is going to be like, holy cow, Greece is now the edge of NATO facing the Middle East. Greece is going to get all the weapons Turkey would have. I mean, my point here is I would rather have Turkey stay in NATO and I would rather have Turkey let Sweden into NATO. But Turkey has just as much to lose if they leave NATO as we do. And we should start acting like it and stop always being so afraid of basically all afraid of these countries almost, rather than realizing, they've got something to lose as well. Anyway, just my little point. I'm gonna skip the last point again. All right, let's I'll do a quick show of some of the auction items, and then we'll do Q&A. Question and answers. I was telling you guys, we've got a Discord community. It's discord.aravosis.com. And you can find the link in my profile on TikTok. Just click the link. Discord's like the second thing that comes up. Thank you, Timothy. You guys can find the link at aravosis.com there, or just go to discord.aravosis.com. And it's a really cool community where we hang out and we chat all day about this stuff. And thank you for that. Thank you, Otan, for doing that. Thank you, TS Ubasa. Okay. Oh, Tsubasa. I'm sorry. Tsubasa. That works. Neat community. We talk about Ukraine all day, all these different topics. I'm there on and off all day long and night as well. I stop in so you can, if you want to sort of chat with me too, we can chat there about the topics of the day. And one of the things, as I said, that's cool is we have auctions there. And I get a lot of cool stuff from Ukraine. I auction it off to you guys, and 50% of the profits go back to Ukraine, military and civilian aid, and 50% goes to support my work because I do this full time and nobody pays me, and except you guys and the auctions. So it's a way for me to afford to be able to keep doing the show. I will show you several of the auction items for this week. A real Ukrainian military patch. Very cool. They're the Velcro ones that go on the uniforms, like that. But this is a cool one because this is one. This is a real one that's worn by a lot of people. I even have pictures up in the auction showing some of the top Ukrainian officials wearing it. Very cool. A really neat pair of earrings with an authentic Ukrainian Vyshyvanka design. These were designed by one of our members here, CK Ariet. She's a jeweler on the side, and she made these earrings that are very cool. She made some other ones too that people loved. We've got more of her stuff coming up. I showed you guys my Zelinski sweatshirt, the sweatshirt that Zelinski wears. We've also got this, which I love this. This is a hoodie, but it's a summer weight hoodie. It's a very thin hoodie with Patron the dog on it, fishing. And Patron is a famous Jack Russell Terrier in Ukraine who is an actual dog who's famous for sniffing out mines, sniffing out bombs, sniffing out unexploded ordnance. And he's met Trudeau and all these heads of state, Boris Johnson, like everybody. And they did a really cool sweatshirt based on the stamp. You see, it says Patron in Ukrainian on his jacket, and he's fishing for a mine in the water. This is based on an official Ukrainian stamp. There you can see that with Patron. I like that it's in Ukrainian too. This is really cool. And there's a lot of other stuff. I won't go through all of it. But the other thing is little pieces of the Berlin Wall that I broke off on December 3rd of 1989 when I was in West Berlin and East Berlin as well. And one of them even has paint on it, which is very cool because it's not easy to get ones that have paint. But I'm auctioning these off as well. And I have all the pictures and everything to prove, that it's real and all of that. So very cool. Anyway, but do check out our auctions, discord.aravosis.com. As I said, it's a way of helping me out, helping Ukraine out. And it's just a lot of fun. I think I've got 10 things up this week. Just a lot of fun stuff. All right, let's do the questions. So you guys, the auctions are all week. If you go over to my Discord community, you'll see them in the left-hand side. There's a column called auctions, and you'll be, that's cute, Kelly. You'll see them in the left-hand side of my Discord. You'll see a section that says auctions. You'll see VIP. The VIP auctions are for the paid monthly subscribers. And you can do that. You can pay on Discord. You can pay on Ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/Aravosis. Or you go to the public auction that's open to everybody. But I also have the VIP one because that way it gives people who actually pay a little bit of a benefit. I want to sort of thank folks for helping out, which is nice. Thank you, Eli, for the star there. Oh, that's interesting. Sorry. Kay Richard says, speaking of the Berlin Wall, I recently learned there are several pieces of it here in Nova Scotia. Oh, interesting. Oh, okay. Very cool. And thank you, Paul, for the super sticker. All right. Let me pull up on my phone the TickTock app. Oh, thank you, Pam Pam. Oops. That was TickTock talking in the background. Nope. Who is this? Joseph, with the waters receding after the dam broke, isn't a river crossing just as easy downstream and even easier upstream? Why would Russia do this? The thing is, okay, the dam, right? So the dam, remember, is down here. It broke. Downstream is here, which means it flooded. Upstream is here, which means less water. If the dam breaks, good point there. We keep talking about the flooding down here. The point is, though, there's less water up here, which in principle could make this, well, okay. It will eventually make this easier to cross up here. It depends, again, like I said, the sunset is going to mess with my camera here. It depends how, actually, we'll try this. Since I learned how to adjust it, I'll give you a little, maybe that's not so good. Okay, I'm going to stop messing around with the light. I'll let it do it automatically. If the water is less up here, the river's thinner. If the river's thinner, it's easier to cross because the river's thinner, but the ground is mud. Right? The ground where the river was is now mud, and it's quicksand, basically. Like you'll get stuck in it. So vehicles can't cross that. So it's not necessarily true. The stuff that's down south gets interesting because the stuff that gets south is going to be bigger and probably stay bigger. In any case, that's the problem though. It's the stuff that's further up is still going to be muddy, at least for a while. If it dries, once it dries, maybe. And then you're right. If the stuff up here dries and the river is much thinner, maybe they can cross up here. But, traditionally this part of you can even tell looking at it, this part of the river is bigger. And I think even looking at the old maps before the dam was here, this part of the river, I think, was bigger. So who knows what size it's going to be. But yeah, maybe. I mean, look, bottom line is Ukraine is looking at this, trying to figure it out. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Because you were talking about why Russia would do it. There were phone conversations intercepted of a Russian soldier. And the Russian soldier said, our guys did it. It was a sabotage group, but they screwed up. They were trying to put just a small bomb that would cause a little damage and scare the Ukrainians. And the bomb was too big and it blew up the entire dam. So it is possible, from what this guy is saying, that the Russians didn't intend to blow the entire dam, because you're correct. With the entire dam blowing, it doesn't necessarily help the Russians that much either. It helps the Russians more than the Ukrainians, but it doesn't help them as much. But that's explained by the fact that the Russians didn't intend to blow up the entire dam. They only wanted to blow up a part of it, and they screwed up, which is classic, of course. Oops. Oh, that's interesting. Kelly's saying, did you see that 2 ancient sites have been uncovered by the receding water? I read that there were new archaeological finds. The only stuff I saw, though, with the archaeological finds were more things from World War II, which were like World War II helmets and an old pistol from like the Cossacks or something. I don't know what it was from, like before then, maybe 100 years ago, a really cool old pistol. But I didn't see the actual archaeological sites. That would be really cool, actually. I mean, as you know, make lemon out of lemonade, but I mean, or make lemonade out of lemons, I should say, but to actually at least get something out of this were some cool archaeological sites. That would be pretty cool. I'll have to Google that because I love archaeology. But that would be very interesting. So sorry, let me pull up another question here on TikTok. Remember, on TikTok, you guys can submit questions in the Q&A link. You guys, bottom of the screen. Please do feel like you can keep the super chat questions coming. I do not object. And please keep the gifts coming on TikTok as well, guys. Helps keep me in business here. So thank you for that. What else we got here? Who is this from? Alex. After Putin's comments today, thank you, Timothy, for the candy. After Putin's comments today, is there an argument to have that nothing will stop him from using a nuclear weapon? The whole world should oppose it. You know, the thing is, Putin's comments today, I didn't think were that bad, to be honest. Among other things, Putin talked about, he said, you know, I have the right to use nuclear weapons. And he says, but I would only use them in the most dire of circumstances, an attack on our territory, blah, 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 blah. And we have other means of defending ourselves. There's no need. So honestly, it was kind of like, so you're threatening, but you're not threatening. You're saying we have nukes and I could use nukes, but I won't use nukes. Well, if you're not going to use them, then it's not threatening, right? I mean, like, it was very weird what he was saying. Also, to some degree, we already knew this. We already knew Russian nuclear doctrine has like 4 conditions of when or 4 contingencies or whatever of when they could use nukes. And one of them is, you know, sort of the survival of the country or whatever it is. And I think my guess is he may have been subtly hinting about what's going on in Belgorod. Remember Belgorod province, which is up here? You have those Russian irregulars, those Russian insurgents who invaded across the border and have been liberating Russia from Russia up here. That could be what he's hinting at is, you know, if Ukraine tries to go after, land in Russia and actually if Ukraine itself tries to take some Russia land, then, you know, that's my guess. And by the way, MAGA Man, I don't know what you're up to, but mods, yeah, MAGA Man is about to leave the building on YouTube. Be aware. Actually, unless MAGA Man was normal, otherwise MAGA Man should leave the building. Not because he's MAGA, he's posting posting Russian propaganda, which, by the way, also makes me think he's Russian because his name is MAGA Man, right? He's a Russian. Yeah, he's a Russian. Bye, Russian. Bye-bye. I got to delete it. Woo! Remember, an angel gets its wings. Well, MAGA Man. I mean, again, he's saying MAGA Man because it's a Russian that's trying to say, "Oh, I'm American," and they do that a lot. They sort of come and pretend that they're American, but they're really not. Trust me, I very much doubt that was a real Trump. Well, I mean, it was a Trump supporter, but it was a Trump supporter in Moscow. It wasn't an American. Let's put it that way. Sorry, more. If they can't blow a dam correctly, how badly will they mess up using any type of nukes? You know. It's not. Oh, Dawn. Hello. Oh, that's really cool, Dawn. Wow. Thank you for that. That was really generous, but that was really cool too. I don't know why they're in there. They've got those 2 different night gifts now. The one that goes on your head, which is very cool, but that one was really neat. I wonder why they're getting into a night theme, but thank you for that, Dawn. That was really nice of you. Wow. That was cool. Thank you. Hi, Pat. We do allow other person's opinions. We don't allow Russian trolls. and having worked online communities for almost 30 years now, 30? Yeah. I've been managing online communities since 1995. I can smell a troll from a mile away. Absolutely. So anyway, what else we got? More questions. Exactly. Roshan has to leave at least one band to me to make me feel better. All right, another question here on TikTok. Well, that's what worries me. I mean, JSM Johnny is saying, how long before we F around and find out? Not giving Ukrainians everything they need. If they lose the world, we'll regret it. Meaning, what I take that is, look, already Ukraine is having a much harder time with the counteroffensive because we didn't help them earlier, and we should have helped them earlier. And it's bad. And we should have helped them with better weapons earlier. Thank you, Robert, for that. And we didn't, because I was not afraid of Putin, but some of us were afraid of Putin, and we thought, oh my God, what if he gets mad? And this guy, like he's the Hulk. You don't like Putin when he's angry, and we therefore didn't support Ukraine like we should have. We didn't give them the weapons that we ended up giving Ukraine, or promising Ukraine, like the tanks that we still haven't given them from the U.S. We could have done that a year ago. Had the U.S. promised the tanks a year ago, those tanks would have been there right now, right? Had the Europeans promised the tanks a year ago, those tanks would have been there a year ago. I mean, those tanks started arriving months ago. They would have at least been there May, June, right? All the difference in the world the Ukrainians could have done had they gotten all of our weapons. Think of all the Ukrainians who wouldn't be dead if they had all of the missile systems, including the Patriot missiles that we finally gave them. No, there is an opportunity cost, to use the economics term, in us being so slow and so afraid to support Ukraine. It killed a lot of people who didn't have to die, and injured a lot of people who didn't have to die, and killed a lot of troops that didn't have to die in Ukraine. But it also made it much harder. It helped Russia do better in the war. Thank you, Timothy. It also makes it much harder for Ukraine to fight back now, because and you know what too? Also, in the counteroffensive right now, Ukraine would have been using these tanks now for like practically a year now, right? It's already June. Ukraine probably would have had the tanks by then, right? It would have been, rather than Ukraine using these tanks for a month, they would have been using them for a year, and they would have been that much better about it. I mean, it's annoying. It's annoying. Anyway, it bothers me, obviously. It does bother me. I think there is an opportunity cost there. Are you surprised Putin is still in power? Not really. He's a good dictator. I mean, he's a good dictator. I don't mean a good dictator, but I mean he's a good dictator in the sense that he knows how to hold things together. He's very good at. He did a very good job of getting rid of his opponents, going after the opposition press and the civil society and all of that. His political opponents in jail, and he's very good at staying in power, as a good dictator is. A good meaning efficient dictator, not a good dictator. So, I mean, I guess I'm not surprised in that sense, and Russia itself, the Russian people seem to sort of have a predilection, although don't we all lately, I'm beginning to think, a predilection towards authoritarianism, an autocracy. So, no, I mean, I'm one of those who kind of thinks, I don't look at Russia as being, those poor Russians. If only they could get rid of Putin. Russia's got the government it wants. Thank you, Tom C. So Jason, you mentioned the South African press secretary. Thank you, Tom C, for the hat there. Weirdly denying they heard sirens and bombs in Kyiv today. I saw the South African president himself say missiles do not work well to establish peace. Why the change of heart? I did see that, yes. So the South African president later, either it was a press conference or a statement he gave, but on camera, and he acknowledged sort of the fact that they got bombed today when he was there in Kyiv, or in Ukraine, in Kyiv actually, and said, yeah, missiles do not work well to establish peace. I think he saw, well, first of all, he's in Kyiv. My guess is some Ukrainian official went up to him and said, what the hell is this? From your press secretary, denying that we were bombed today. And even better, you show the press secretary's comment and you walk up with a photo of some dead people from the bombing and go, this woman's dead. Your government is denying this while you're here? And I guarantee you he went, oh, no. And that press secretary is in trouble, So that's why they're doing it, because fortunately there was some kind of, oh, hello, okay. Dog is upset, fine. Fortunately, there was some kind of a backlash against him. But, damn. I mean, basically, in case you guys weren't here, the South African president is in Ukraine today and is there like on a peace mission, And Russia decides to bomb Kyiv, the Ukrainian capital, while the South African president is there. And the press spokesman for the South African president, who's there with him, puts out a tweet on Twitter and says something like, strange. We didn't hear any air raid sirens. We didn't hear any bombs exploding, basically suggesting that the Ukrainians are lying about there being an attack today. And it was a deadly attack. Reuters comes out. Oh, hell, I'm just going to show you this from Reuters. I always like to show things because I think even if it's a small thing, it still helps to prove things when you can see it. Well, is it on? Actually, hopefully, it is on here. I've got it on here. Hang on a second. I know I've got it on here. Wait a second. One moment. Here it is. Yeah. So this was from Reuters earlier today. Read it. I even left the top on there and tweeted it out so everybody could see it. This is right after the South African press secretary says, our delegation didn't hear anything. We didn't hear any air raid sirens. You guys can see it. It says air sirens later blared in Kyiv, and Reuters, the reporter from Reuters, saw the leaders of the African delegations heading into a hotel in the capital to use its air raid shelter. So the Reuters reporter actually saw the South Africans going in, and it may be an African delegation, by the way. It may not just be South Africa. Saw them basically running into a hotel to use the air raid shelter when the spokesman denied there were no bombs. What are you talking about? So the problem is they're sucking up to Russia. Russia's got some kind of sweetheart deal with them. I mean, also, the Soviets, well, first of all, this is BS anyway. Yeah, the Soviets supported South Africa. First of all, Russians, a lot of racism in Russia, a lot of racism in our country, but a lot of racism in Russia. They didn't go help South Africa out of the goodness of their heart, but that's fine. Second of all, the Soviet Union, this is what the South Africans say. Whoa, we have to be allies with Russia because Russia, the Soviet Union supported us, when we had the apartheid government, right? They supported us, the black majority versus the evil government. Guess who else was part of the Soviet Union when they supported South African blacks over the racist whites? Ukraine. Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union. So why do they use that as a justification to support Russia over Ukraine when both parties were there? I didn't even think about that till right now, actually, until I was talking to you guys. No, it's just utter. I think the South African government's getting paid off. I think the Russians did something. They either threatened them or they paid them, but they did something. They bought these guys off. It's just really, that kind of stuff drives me crazy. Anyway, like I said, the sort of the cowardice involved. In any case, a few more questions, guys, and then we can go. Remember tomorrow, like I said, I've got we're doing the super chat. That's cute. Oh, that's interesting. Sorry, real quick. So Otanbot is posting that Norwegian media is reporting that it is likely that there will be an extension of at least 1 year for Jens Stoltenberg as NATO Secretary General. That's interesting. So the Secretary General is kind of the civilian head of NATO, not to be confused with the military head, which is always an American general. Jens Stoltenberg is very good. He's the current Secretary General of NATO, super duper pro-Ukraine, to the point where I have felt in the past that his comments are almost ahead of the rest of NATO in being pro-Ukraine, which is great, by the way. I think it's great, but nonetheless, right? That's interesting. His term of office ends this year. He already had extended it once, I think a few years ago. I wouldn't be surprised if, because of what's going on with NATO, they didn't sort of say, you know what, maybe it's best just to continue for a year, because also, meaning we're at war. I mean, we're at war. Ukraine's at war, at least. We're kind of at war. Ukraine's at war. We don't need to sort of change things right now. He's got the relationships with all the governments. I mean, there's that issue. Also, there might be a little bit of a battle over who comes next. I think the Americans might want Ben Wallace, who's the British Secretary of Defense or Defense Minister. The Europeans, the French, want somebody from the continent. In other words, EU. Somebody from the continent, not from Great Britain. So that you sort of avoid that battle. And right, Otanbot is saying he needs to close Sweden. That's an interesting point. To sort of help bring Sweden on board. It kind of depends too what his relations. Maybe he has relationship with the Turks. I don't know, but maybe he's got good relations with the Turks, and that's an issue. In any case, that's interesting. I did not. Yeah, I mean, I think that in general is probably good news if it's true. Couple more questions, guys, and then we'll go. Please do feel free to keep giving the gifts. Gifts keep Sasha in the manner to which he's accustomed. Helps me pay the bills as well. So thank you. Here's an interesting one from John Judge. Will Ukrainian forces stop when they reach the Russian border? Have international supporters set any ground rules for this? Yeah, I'm sure they have. I would pretty much guarantee you the U.S. has said, well, two things. One, we've already said don't use our weapons to attack Russia itself. The Brits have been a little more loose with that, which is interesting. The Americans, look, according to those documents that 21-year-old who's going to spend his life in jail if he doesn't get the death penalty, I don't think he can get the death penalty, but he's going to spend his life in jail, that he released those classified documents that he was releasing on Discord and stuff. According to those documents, the U.S. The U.S. found out that Ukraine was planning to bomb the Nord Stream pipeline and told them not to. And I believe the U.S. am I right about this, guys? Was there also not a U.S. weighing in about Ukraine going after Moscow with drones as well? I'm pretty sure. I will guarantee you that the U.S. has told them, we really don't want you striking Russia at all, and we really don't want you going in and taking any Russian land. Like going in literally like you invade Russia. Thank you, Robert, for that. So I would think the U.S. has been pretty strong. Now, having said that, it's kind of a stupid move to some degree, because Ukraine could, it's good leverage. It's really good leverage if Ukraine were to get some of Russia's land. Now, Russia could say they're going to nuke Ukraine, but, not if NATO's there and says you nuke Ukraine and we're entering the war. I think it's another one of those. Who knows, though? I mean, you are playing a little bit of a game there. If Ukraine were to actually invade and take part of Russia, Also, part of the problem here too is it worth it? I mean, for Ukraine to invade and to hold the territory and to then put enough troops in there to hold the territory inside Russia, Ukraine's trying to get rid of its. Although you did say at the end, I mean, my suspicion is, if Ukraine is able to get back all the land that Russia stole, they're not going to really have excess bandwidth to then go invade Russia and take some land. I mean, my suspicion is it might be wider for them to solidify what they've got and basically just really defend their borders. But who knows? I mean, who knows? Don't hold it, just tease them, Red. Well, I'm always a fan of teasing the Russians, Red. But yeah. I mean, I will put it this way: there's got to be a good military justification for doing it. Is the thing, I mean, that's sort of the thing. If there's a good military justification, then go for it. Otherwise, I don't think so. Thank you, user 6572 for the hands. Anyway. All right. I think I'm going to thank you, Hedge, for the gift there. I think I'm going to wrap up and do the news summary, and then we can call it quits, guys. I think I'm going to skip the Discord tonight because we're doing a number of shows tomorrow. There's a lot of concern about air support. I mean, someone's asking about taking back Crimea without air support. There was more. I have not watched The Diplomat. I've heard it's good. I'm going to write actually a note to myself. Thank you, Lori, for that. I'm going to write myself a little note. The Diplomat. What's it on actually? Or is it on? If it's on HBO, I don't have it. Is it on HBO or what's it on? It's a TV show that people are recommending, or TV series some folks have recommended. Just let me know what's on I've got Netflix. Okay, Netflix I've got. I would check that. Okay, I'll check that out. I'll check it out. Thanks. I will check that out. So the shows tomorrow are two. There's the paid show and the free show. The free show is going to be on Twitch, and it's going to be on my Aravosis account, just my last name, Aravosis, not the account you guys are watching right now, but the other one. So at Aravosis on Twitch at 1 p.m. Eastern time US, that's 1 p.m. New York City time. At 11 a.m. will be the show for my paid monthly subscribers. That'll be everybody who's a subscriber on TickTock, but the paid subscribers, thank you. I would block me for that. That would be everyone who signed up for either a Discord subscription or a Ko-fi.com subscription. So if, and again, for the Ko-fi.com ones, very much appreciate those. Go to my profile. Thank you. I would go to my profile on TikTok, click the link, and the first thing that comes up is the Ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/Aravosis. You can get a monthly subscription there, which helps me out, gives me basically a monthly donation. Thank you, Lori, and makes you a VIP member of the Discord. And you guys, so I'll take this down, you guys can use the Ko-fi link at the bottom of the screen there. But it also makes you eligible to join us via Discord for the same 11 a.m. chat. Oops, thank you for the hat there. Oops, who was the hat? Who was the hat? Who was the hat? TikTok is going to hide who the hat was from because TikTok's being evil. See, this is what I'm talking about. TikTok is like literally whoever gave me the hat, TikTok isn't going to show me who gave the hat because TikTok's being evil. TikTok. See, it showed me Kara gave me the confetti. It didn't show me who gave me the hat. I apologize. That was really sweet of you, whoever did it. But this is what I mean. TikTok just makes it very difficult to sort of keep track. Thank you, Paul, as well. In any case, so yeah. So we've got Weekend Review at 1 o'clock on Twitch, Aravosis account, 11 a.m. Eastern time, US, New York City time. Thank you, Royce. Oh, Royce, that's cute. Arhua. At 11 a.m. Eastern time, US, we've got the paid TikTok subscribers on TikTok and the paid subscribers on Discord, which includes Ko-fi.com. And Discord, you can find upper left corner of the screen. When you get to my Discord, look for the thing that says $5 and up subscribers. And then Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern time US, I will be having just on Discord the $25 and up subscribers, which is a very elite club over on Discord. That includes the Ko-fi folks too, but only the $25 and up monthly. And we will be meeting in the section that says $25 and up. Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And I will try to put up notices on TikTok today if I remember for all of that. All right, guys, let me do a quick summary and then voila. All right, 6 hypersonic missiles were downed over Kyiv today by Ukraine's Air Force. Russia attacked Kyiv while the South African president's delegation was there. Putin claimed the first nuclear weapons have arrived in Belarus from Russia. Don't believe him. They lie. Putin today accused Zelinski of being a bad Jew that all the Jews hate. I mean, literally, it feels like something a kid would say, right? Like, you're a bad Jew. Like, that's how you're going to win a war. But, you know, it shows you sort of how desperate the Russians are getting. Stoltenberg, who's the Secretary General of NATO, says an invitation to join NATO will not be on the agenda for Ukraine with the NATO summit in July. Germany will immediately provide Ukraine with another 64 guided missiles for its Patriot defense system. That's really good. Hang on, page 3. CNN says a team of international legal experts has examined the evidence from the Kakhovka Dam, the dam that blew up in Ukraine, and has concluded that it is highly likely that the collapse was caused by the Russians. Washington Post says that Russian forces likely fired on boats with aid workers in the flooded Ukrainian city of Kherson. In terms of war crimes, UN experts have raised concerns with Russia over what appears to be planned, authorized, and deliberate torture of Ukrainian civilians and POWs. And finally, Sweden and NATO, there's no progress, but our ambassador to Turkey today made clear that Turkey is not going to get its much needed and much desired F-16 fighter jets from the U.S. until it lets Sweden into NATO. So that is it for the news, guys. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for beating up the trolls, as we always do. Thank you, Royshin. I'm assuming that's Royshin, or is that Wa? I don't quite know which one you were. Oh, Royce won. I think that might be you, actually. But thank you for the gift there. And otherwise, I will see the rest of you Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Do check out our Discord because, like I said, I mean, I'm not going to go to Discord now and do a hangout, but I will go to Discord and just look around. So if you've got more questions or want to interact with me, feel free to go to the Discord. I check it throughout the day and throughout the night until I go to bed. So it is Oration. Okay. Thank you for that. I check it throughout the day and at night too. So it's a good place if you guys want to kind of hang out as well. Feel free to. Juneteenth, Juneteenth is Monday. I figure what a better way to celebrate Juneteenth than to inform the world about bad things happening to good people, right? Helping stop a genocide. Thank you, Flower Lady. I would think, right? I mean, that's not why I'm doing it, but I certainly would not honor a holiday about that by saying, let's stop talking about innocent people who are getting killed. I would guess it's right. You know what I mean? But in any case, that's not why I'm doing it. I'm just doing it anyway on Monday because why not? Thank you, Kanowski, for that. Otherwise, like I said, do check out the Discord though. I hang out there a lot. It's free and the Discord's free. But if you want to be a paying member, go to Ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/Aravosis, bottom of your screen. And you guys, it's via TickTock. Click the link and it'll take you to the page, and it's at the very top of the page. Marion, you're a goddess. Thank you. We still want to plan some trips, I think. And then check out the auctions. The auctions are fun. We got a lot of cool stuff. The Aravosians either sounds like somebody says have a great weekend, Aravosians. It either sounds like people from another planet or a cult. Like the Aravosians killed themselves by drinking pink lemonade today, or by drinking purple Kool-Aid or whatever. Like the Branch Davidians or something. Anyway, Discord. Well, Discord. Okay, there's one issue I will say. Discord's having a little bit of a glitch, so some people have not been able to find the auctions. That I will warn you of that. But generally speaking, if you go to Discord, actually, I'll show you on my phone. Generally speaking, with Discord, you will go and hang on. So on your phone, it's quite easy. You scroll down until you see auctions. And you see auctions and you see VIP, public, right? You see Russian bullet casing, Patron, dog hoodie, Ukraine military, public, Ukraine-themed earrings, Berlin Wall pieces. So VIP means the ones that you've got to be a paying member to access. Public means everybody can access. And that's how you do it. Very simple. Assuming you can see it, because like I said, it can be difficult. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for the gifts. Like I said, that was very sweet of you all. Thank you, Marion, for the last gift. And I will see you guys either over the weekend or on Monday. And I will put out the message. I'll put out the message right now on Discord so folks know when the stuff is on the weekend. But for you guys on TikTok, if you are a paid TikTok subscriber, try to be around tomorrow at 11 a.m. and we will do Eastern time, US, New York City time, and we will do our usual hangout where hopefully my friend Vlad from Ukraine joins us. He usually tries. He usually is able to, but he does have a life and he does have a family. So he can't always join us, but he usually tries. Okay, thanks guys. Have a good night. Appreciate you being here.